And it might not be true. And when Trump tells us that he's not using the presidency to line his own pockets, it's looking like that's not true either. Trump's many presidential grifts are too numerous to count. So today, let's just focus on the golf-based ones. For example, last week, Vice President and store manager who won't give you more hours, Mike Pence, did his boss a solid.
Just last week, Vice President Mike Pence came under fire for spending 2 nights at the president's resort in Ireland. It was 181 miles away from where his meetings were in Dublin. Now, he said he was staying at his boss's resort because he has family ties to the town.
It's true. Mike Pence's ancestors are Irish, and they really suffered during the Irish potato famine, mainly because they were the potatoes. Hey-o! While Trump denied having anything to do with the vice president staying at his hotel, Pence's own chief of staff seemed to have a slightly different take.
The vice president's chief of staff said Trump himself suggested Pence stay there. Mark Short saying, "I don't think it was a request like a command. I think it was a suggestion."
You silly, calm down, everyone. It wasn't a command. It was just a suggestion. You know, like waking up to a horse's head in a bed is a suggestion that you find the rest of the horse, I guess. I don't know. I never seen that movie. Pence staying at a Trump resort nearly 200 miles away from his meetings is a waste of taxpayer money in order to enrich the president. And if you don't care about the taxpayers, at least consider the poor Air Force Two pilots who had to spend extra hours listening to Pence recap Veggie Tales. Nor is Trump's administration only trying to prop up its resorts abroad. They also announced plans to do it right here in America when Trump said he'd like to hold the next G7 meeting at his resort in Doral, Florida. You might think housing 7 heads of state and the dozens of people on their staff is just a way for Trump to funnel more money into his pelican jowls, but he's actually got a very reasonable explanation.
Doral happens to be within Miami. It's a city. It's very importantly only 5 minutes from the airport.
Oh my God! They get to be near the airport? That is luxurious. And if I know Florida, it's also right around the corner from the nearest gun shop / massage parlor / daycare. Angela Merkel is going to get a hell of a spray tan. So obviously the president only wants the G7 conference at his golf resort because he knows it's the best place to hold it. It definitely has nothing to do with the fact that as of 2017, income from Trump's Doral resort has dropped 69%. Truly, it's the first time I've ever seen 69 and really meant it when I said, nice. Trump is also using the military in inappropriate ways. Not invade Iraq and Afghanistan inappropriate, but still not great. Politico reported how a routine Air Force trip to deliver supplies from the United States to Kuwait had an unexpected layover at Trump Turnberry in Scotland, where the crew stayed. And in case you think, well, at least the troops got to stay in a ritzy resort, apparently the crew's per diem wasn't even enough to cover food there. Nothing says I support the troops like making them split a haggis 6 ways. And they're not the only U.S. troops who suddenly found themselves deployed to rural Scotland.
Since October 2017, at Prestwick Airport, there have been 629 refueling stops, totaling a spend on fuel of about $11 million. Prestwick is a very small civilian airport. It's not doing very well commercially. 629 aircraft times the number of men in the aircrew, if they're all staying at Turnberry, significant figure.
Trump finally found a business model that works. Deploy the entire Air Force to spend money on you. You know, Forever 21 is filing for bankruptcy. If only they could send in the Marines to buy 500,000 bralettes that say Peter Frampton on them. The point is, Prestwick Airport is struggling, and that $11 million of our money is enough to keep Prestwick open for business, which is very beneficial for Trump Turnberry, but a total ripoff for the American taxpayer. If Prestwick closed, Trump's resort would be an hour away from the closest airport. Unlike the luxurious Trump Doral in Florida, which, let me remind you, is only 5 minutes from the airport. Book your international summit there today. It sucks that the U.S. government is now just a coupon for the president's shitty resorts. We used to consider ourselves the greatest nation on earth. Now we're basically an Expedia pop-up. Look, I know compared to some of the awful things Trump has done, it can be hard to get worked up about a little Gulf corruption between friends. But if we let him get away with this, it will only get worse. Next thing we know, Ivanka will get an exclusive contract to redesign the Marines' uniforms, and nobody wants that. We'll be right back.